Hi everyone. I need some help to diagnose what's wrong with the electrical system on my 2007 Ducati Monster S4RS. So first what I'll do is kind of describe what happened with the bike, shut off on me while I was riding down the road. Then I will show you on the wiring diagram where I believe the issue lies and kind of describe to you what I've done thus far. And then show you the regulator rectifier, which I've taken out of the bike, as I kind of walk through testing it with a multimeter, where I can get your support on figuring out whether or not that unit has actually failed. So first describing what's happened with the bike. I was riding down the road, 55 miles per hour, motorcycle shut off, engine shut off, gauge cluster turned off, bike went completely dead, pulled it over to the side of the road to get it out of ways of harm, and then called a friend to come pick me up the tow truck. Now I've pulled the bike apart to help see what's going on, and what I believe has happened is the instrument cluster has actually failed, and that has caused a failure in a wire junction down the bike. So let me show you the wiring diagram. All right. So here's the wiring diagram printed out. I've highlighted and traced the wires. You can see from the positive connector on the battery, power goes through the 30A main fuse, which is fine. Follow that all the way along, ultimately get into the fuse box. Now the number 7 fuse, which is what's powering the instrument cluster, keeps blowing. So I replace it with the bike is switched to the keys onto the on position or off. It blows a fuse every time. So there's a short in the circuit somewhere. So I trace that wire all the way down here over the instrument cluster, and you'll see that there's a junction where it goes from the 23 pin in the back of the instrument cluster connector and the 26 pin. Now I did a continuity test on these and found that there's continuity going to the 23 pin, but not to the 26 pin. So that's where I think the failure might be. That what's causing that fuse to blow in the number 7 position on the fuse box is that the instrument cluster has failed, which is obviously integrated with the immobilizer, which is why the bike won't start. And I think it also took up that junction when the instrument cluster failed, and that's where my problem lies, right? But to make sure I cover my bases, I wanted to be thorough here. So of course I tested the battery. I got 13.2 or 13.3 volts on the battery. I tested the pins on the connector going to the regulator rectifier, and got 0.4 ohms across all three pins going from that's obviously from the generator stator unit to the regulator rectifier. So things look fine there. And now I want to test it to make sure, more thoroughly to see if it has in fact failed. So one observation I made though is that the wires appear pretty burnt, which is maybe a leading indicator that this unit has actually failed. Live here in Southwest Florida, it's super hot. The regulator rectifier obviously sits right under the seat, so if you're sitting in traffic, which happens occasionally, I ride the bike a lot, perhaps it just cooked the unit pretty much. That's what I'm thinking may have happened. So what I'll do now is just kind of prop my phone up here so you guys can take a look at the multimeter. I'm going to walk through testing it, right? So I'm not an electrical guru by any means, so this is where I can use your help, right? So what you'll see here is out of the regulator rectifier unit, there's 2 connectors. One is 3 yellow wires, one is 2 red and 2 green, right? The 3 with yellow wires, those, like I said, go from the generator slash stator into the regulator rectifier unit, where the current is not adjusted, and then sent through this connector. The 2 red wires go to recharge the battery, and the greens are negative, right? So let's first start by testing the positive circuit, or the circuit that's going to recharge the battery. So I'll take this red red lead on the multimeter. Let me prop up the phone here. This is really difficult to do with one hand. So what I can use your help on is watching the multimeter to see how that changes as I mess with these. Okay. So it's like I said, we'll take the red and we'll test the positive circuit first. And now let's go through different pins in the yellow. So nothing on the first pin, nothing on the second pin, nothing on the third pin. Okay, let's test the other positive wire. Nothing on the first pin, nothing on the second pin, nothing on the third pin. Okay. Okay, let's reverse it just to see how that might change the results. So now I'll put the black lead from the multimeter on the positive circuit, on the first pin in the positive circuit. We'll test that. Oh, there we got something. 561, 560. Second pin, 571. Now the third pin, nothing. Now I'm not sure if that means the diode has failed, but I think that's what that means, which leads me to believe that this is regulator rectifier is bad, right? So let me first test, last test the other positive wire, positive circuit real quick. So now we'll test the first pin. Oh, I'm trying to get this just right. 561, 560. 570, that was consistent with what we had before. Third pin, nothing. Now, that's alarming, potentially. So again, that was the positive circuit. And it looks like this bottom pin here, not getting anything from that guy. So maybe the diode's bad. Let's test the negative circuit real quick, right? So first I'll start with the black lead from the multimeter on the first. On the first negative wire. And we'll go through the same process here. Nothing on the first pin. Nothing on the second pin. Nothing on the third pin. Okay, let's jump over to the other wire, the other negative wire. Oh, this is where alligator clips would come in handy. Okay, so nothing on the first pin, nothing on the second pin, nothing on the third pin. Okay, let's reverse this. And I'll put again, we're on the negative wire now, coming out of the regulator rectifier. So we'll take the red lead coming out of the multimeter, and we'll test the negative on those 3 pins. Nothing on the first pin. 550 on the second pin. Nothing on the third pin. Interesting. Okay, let's see if we go to the other wire and we get the same results. Nothing on the first pin. 550 on the second pin. Nothing on the third pin. Now, what I'm wondering here is, obviously I got some type of reading on that second pin on the negative circuit coming from the regulator rectifier. Now, does that mean that those other two diodes failed on the negative circuit and one failed on the positive circuit? That's what it seems to be from what I can tell. Now, if this regulator rectifier were to fail, could that potentially impact the bike being unable to start up? Would that be what's causing my instrument cluster to fail and the number 7 fuse to blow, and the 26 pen to not get continuity going into the instrument cluster? That's the part I'm not so sure. So if anybody has any advice or suggestions on how I can do this better, let me know. But I appreciate your help in advance. Thank you.